What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Gamescript. We're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football. A.J. Brown has been very vocal about his lack of involvement in the Eagles offense. Does tonight's matchup against Detroit change that? Let's take a look right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at PumaCom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Gamescript. We're looking at the Detroit Lions at the Philadelphia Eagles tonight on Sunday Night Football. We got a 46.5-point total with the Eagles as 2.5-point favorites in this one. So we got a good matchup here for Sunday Night Football. Two powerhouse teams, and we've seen a recent transition on the Detroit side from the offensive coordinator, and now Dan Campbell is taking over the offensive play calling there in Detroit. On the Philadelphia side, we have new additions to the defense that they picked up right before the trade deadline. Some guys that made an immediate impact when they started playing last week. So we have an improved defense on the Philadelphia side. We have an improved offense on the Detroit side. So which side of those is going to win tonight, and which side of those is going to generate the most fantasy points? So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Make sure to hit the like button. Give me the 70 likes so I can put my favorite picks in the comment section as we get closer to lock. Hit 100 likes if you want a write-up on the game as we get close to lock. Looking at the Sunday early games, it's going pretty well with Sean Tucker. I was very high on Sean Tucker. He's 0.7% owned in the at least in the contest that I entered him in. He's got up to like 21 points for 5K right now, so he's having a big game. I'm hoping that carries me into the afternoon games where I had the Sam Darnold stacks. So we'll see how that works out. I also had Josh Jacobs, unfortunately, was the guy that I put as my picks in the comment section for that game. I was, or for that slate, I was debating on putting Tucker in there, but I ended up putting stupid Jacobs in there. And of course, he gets hurt in like the first quarter. So we'll see how that pans out and see how the Sam Darnold aspect of the picks goes with Njigba. And I basically did game stacks for the Seahawks Rams game. So I'm waiting on the afternoon games to start. So I wanted to get this show recorded before that happens and break down this really good game that we have for the Sunday night game. I'm really liking the possibilities here. I took a look at some of the some of the players matchups and everything like that. And for DraftKings, playing around with building lineups and stuff, and it really comes together pretty easily based on the matchups that I like. So I'm going to get into that in a second. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm looking for 2,200 subscribers. I only need about 9 more to get there. So help me out there, guys. Get me over that 2,200 hump. And I'm trying to get ultimately probably around like 2,500 by the time we hit Christmas, but I want to get to 2,200 by the end of this week. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit it and get me to that mark. Also, by hitting the subscribe button, you get yourself a free beta preview of the secret weapon, which is coming out this week. It should be. I'm going to have a show with Spread. We're going to kind of introduce it. Spread Astaire and I are going to take a look at the functionality of this website. It's going to be a game changer for you guys with doing some of your research. It's not an analytics-based thing. It's more of a news-based thing. So I know there's a lot of options out there for analytics, but there's not a lot of options out there for news. So this is going to be, kind of what I use like for when I'm trying to find under the radar guys like Sean Tucker today, for instance, under 1%. That's why I should have put him in those picks. I'm just kicking myself for not putting him in there. I went with the safer play, quote unquote, with Josh Jacobs. And of course he gets hurt. So let's go over and take a look at the slate we got for this Eagles game tonight. Let's go over to the injury report first and take a look at what our situation is with, what we're dealing with these injuries. We'll take a look at the Detroit side first. So we got Brock Wright and Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell all questionable. Penei Sewell would be a big one. Taylor Decker as well. Those are big deals if those guys are more hurt than than maybe people are thinking. Isaac Tesla is also questionable for the game. With these games on the road outside in prime time, I tend to lean more on the run game for Detroit. Like Detroit, it doesn't really affect whether they win the game or not, but it kind of can affect whether Jared Goff performs or not. Like I've noticed that a lot of these road games, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, when they're playing outside, they tend to have the bigger edge in carrying the team. So I might lean more towards the run game of Detroit, although I do think that, it's definitely going to be a competitive game still. Sam Laporta is on IR. That's why this Brock Wright questionable is significant. We could get Ross Dwelley. Like he's done stuff for us in the past with San Francisco. So Ross Dwelley is not a guy that we're going to want to sleep on, especially with this depth issues that we're seeing here on the tight end situation. If we're looking down even more, we got a couple left guards are on IR or they're out. We got a couple of the right tackles on IR. So really banged up offensive line there for Detroit. Now, they've been having injury issues over the past couple seasons. Josh Pascal is out. We're looking at Marcus Davenport on IR. Malcolm Rodriguez is out. Zach Cunningham IR. Ezekiel Turner IR. Khalil Dorsey IR. God, man, look at the secondary too. Terrion Arnold is out. Kirby Joseph is out. That's great for Dallas Goedert, a guy who I already like today. Meek Robertson is questionable. We got DJ Reed is on IR, and Rakestraw is still on IR too. So they're still really banged up there on that secondary for Detroit. That's going to open things up for, if we wanted to go with that A.J. Brown narrative, but it also works for Devontae Smith. And as we saw, it's going to work for Dallas Goedert as well. Dallas Goedert is going to be lost in all that debate over Devontae Smith versus A.J. Brown, and that's a good thing for us. Taking a look at the Eagles, we got Johnny Wilson on IR. That doesn't really affect anything. If you know from watching my show, like when I talk about the Eagles, they're very limited in who they distribute the ball to. It's Brown, Smith, and Goddard, basically, and then the occasional pass to Jahan Dotson, and then obviously Barkley. So they don't really go beyond that as far as, fantasy relevant guys, which makes it easier for us on Showdown when we're trying to pick cheap guys. We can focus on the opposite team. We're missing our fullback here, not necessarily the best for Saquon tonight in an already difficult matchup. As far as the right tackle, Lane Johnson is back, and we got Cameron Williams on IR. Willie Lampkin is on IR. Miles Hinton on IR, and Willie Lampkin, I already told you, was on IR. Let's see. As far as the defense, we're missing a few guys on defense. Not nearly as banged up as the Detroit side, obviously. Now, Jaelan Phillips has made a massive difference in getting pressure on the quarterback. In his first week, last week, it was a significant increase. So Jaelan Phillips already making an impact. Jalen Carter, very difficult for the run game to get by him. But we got a receiving back in Gibbs. So maybe this matchup might favor Gibbs a little bit more. And then, of course, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Now, the interesting thing here is when they brought in Jaelan Phillips, and who was the other guy that they brought in? Michael Carter was the other guy. They brought in Michael Carter as well. Now, bringing in Michael Carter was theoretically going to enable Cooper DeJean to move more on the outside and let Michael Carter work in the nickel a little bit. But it seemed like last week they kept Quinion Mitchell and Adoree Jackson / Keely Ringo out on the outside, which is good for us, because that's going to give us a matchup that we can exploit if we are believing that when Amon-Ra St. Brown moves to the outside, he won't have Cooper DeJean on him. He'll have Quinion Mitchell, and that'll leave Jameson Williams open with Adoree Jackson or Keely Ringo on him. So that will give us a matchup advantage that we can easily take advantage of. The way that the play calling went with Dan Campbell last week, he got Jameson Williams more involved, and I think that the effort to get Jameson Williams more involved on top of having a potentially cushy matchup could lead to good things for Jameson Williams. The only question there is, do we think that Goff is going to be successful in a road outdoor game with the weather not so great? So let's take a look at this game. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got a matchup against the Eagles that's pretty difficult. They're only giving up 10.2 DraftKings points to the slot. They've been more vulnerable out wide, giving up 21.6. But like I said, they improved their defense, but not the greatest matchup. It's a middling matchup for Amon-Ra, but I do kind of like Williams better in this matchup tonight, and he's going to be more of a salary saver for us. Amon-Ra's the highest priced guy on the slate this week. Looking at Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs split the backfield with Montgomery last week, and it actually paid dividends because it kept him more fresh, and we saw him score that 41 DraftKings points. A couple nights ago, too, he also scored 40 DraftKings points. So he's been on a tear recently in some of these games, and that was an outdoor game again last week against Washington. Jahmyr Gibbs and the running game was leaned on a little bit more. He ended up with that 41 DraftKings points. We could see, something not similar, but like as far as leaning on Gibbs and Montgomery more in this Philly game, we could see more opportunity for those guys. With Jalen Hurts is facing off against a Detroit defense that's given up only 19 DraftKings points a game to the quarterback position. That's a middling matchup. But Jalen Hurts, the matchup is more difficult for the run game. Detroit's only giving up 14.7 DraftKings points a game to the running back position. So Saquon's going to have a more difficult matchup in this one, and that's going to set us up with Jalen Hurts to potentially have a bigger game. And I already like the passing game in this one better anyway, so that gives us a little bit easier path to maybe fading Saquon Barkley, unless you want to go contrarian and go more with the passing game. The running game in this one for the Eagles. Jared Goff, we saw him have a good game last week at Washington. So, not totally in the dust on these road games. We've seen it a couple times. He had 21 DraftKings points against Cincy. But then we see these ones mixed in: 11.9 at Green Bay. We see 12.7 at Baltimore. We see that 21 in Cincy. We see the 12.3, that was in Detroit, 16.8 at Kansas City, and we see 27.8 at Washington. So kind of a mixed bag there. But when they're playing at Detroit, we get this like 37 points at Detroit, 13.7 at Detroit, 12.3 at Detroit, 19.4 at Detroit. So he's kind of been mixed on his home games too. But now with Campbell taking over the play calling, maybe we see something closer than what we saw with Ben Johnson last year. So Goff, I'm not really sure what to think about him. I know the narrative is he struggles a little bit more on these outdoor road games, but I think with all the studs that we have in this in this matchup, Jared Goff is a little bit easier to leave on the bench than maybe he should be. So Barkley, talked about him. You know, he's another guy with a up and down season. He had a good week right before the bye where he had that 36 DraftKings points, but other than that, has not done too much. And he finds himself in that difficult matchup against Detroit's defense. Smith is the guy who's been on fire this season for the Eagles. 22 DraftKings points, 36. You know, he had 14 and 16. He's been the main guy that they've been targeting, the main target earner in this offense this season. And that's made A.J. Brown grumbly. A.J. Brown has been complaining on social media about his usage in the offense, but he did have that 31-point week right before the bye week. We have the 25.9 week earlier in the season. But other than that, he's really been like just kind of a dud. But, you know, A.J. Brown, you know, like when he grumbles on social media about his role in the offense, they typically make an effort to make him happy. So if we wanted to pivot to A.J. Brown from Devontae Smith, let me get an idea of what we're looking at here for the potential ownership. Let's see if the performance by Devontae Smith. So Devontae Smith, we're looking at 41.8%. We're looking at 48.5% ownership for A.J. Brown. So A.J. Brown is higher owned overall ownership. They got about the same in the captain, but I'm not really interested in either of those guys in the captain with their price tags. I'm kind of leaning more towards Dallas Goedert in the captain. Goddard is in a matchup against Detroit where they're giving up 16.2 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. They're giving up 14.7 to the slot. So Devontae Smith is probably my lean here because he plays slot and outside. So he'll get, like decent matchups in both those scenarios. But Dallas Goedert with this matchup against Detroit is probably their weakest point is in the middle of the field. And, Dallas Goedert is set to benefit from that. And I just told you with the injury report, with the safety being out, those are where I like to target these tight ends. And Dallas Goedert is looking real nice at that $5,600 salary. As far as Jameson Williams, we saw that big week with Dan Campbell calling the plays last week, 26.9 points. We've seen a couple good weeks out of him recently with 16.6 and 18.6. He had that 21.8 week early in the season. They've been talking about getting him involved, and I think part of the reason why Campbell took over the play calling was to get Jameson Williams more involved in this offense, kind of like he was last year. I think Rich Rebar mentioned in his article this week, check that out at Sharp Football Analysis, that the ADOT for Jameson Williams has gone way down with Campbell calling the plays, and it gives him a lot more higher percentage, passes to catch. So that helps out Jameson Williams and getting in a groove and potentially, setting him up for a deep pass later on in the game. But I do like that with Jameson Williams. He's another guy that I like in the captain spot this week. Now the Eagles will be, like a more difficult matchup out wide. But like I said, if he can get that Adoree Jackson / Ringo matchup when Amon-Ra is maybe focused on by Quinion Mitchell on the outside, then we could see good opportunities there for Jameson Williams. Laporta is out. David Montgomery, same thinking here as with Jahmyr Gibbs, like that he might be leaned on a little bit more in this one, but he's going to have a more difficult situation if he's going to be used as a power runner against Jalen Carter, and they decide to use Gibbs as more of the satellite back. Montgomery would struggle more in this matchup than Gibbs would. The Eagles have not allowed I don't think they've allowed a 100-yard rusher all season. So we got both these kickers in an outdoor game, though. Take them what you will. We know on fourth down, both these teams go for it a lot on fourth down. So there's probably not a whole lot of opportunities to go around, although we have seen more opportunities for Bates than we have for Elliott, which makes sense with the tush push and everything. So Keep that in mind. Eagles D, they're in play. They're just revamped. They're just they're loaded with stars now on the defense, and they've scored double-digit points already in like 4 weeks. So the Eagles D is always going to be in play for me, and they're at 4K. That's very cheap for a defense on Showdown. Lions D is cheap too. They're all banged up as we took a look at, and they're on the road. I would lean more Phillies D if I had a tiebreaker between those two. Khalif Raymond. There was a while there where Tesla was looking like he was going to take over the role here that Khalif Raymond have, but we see 4 targets, 1 target, 3 target in the last few weeks there. Let's take a look at Tesla. We got 1 target, so really we have not seen Tesla take over that role. Let's take a look at the snap counts. Let's go to Detroit here. All right, so Jameson Williams is at 87%. We got Tesla at 29. Amon-Ra at 74. Raymond is still at 54, and he has been pretty consistent throughout the season, whereas Tesla, he's been kind of up and down, but he has not won that position from Khalif Raymond, which is the kind of the point here. So keep that in mind if you're wanting to start one of these guys. Tesla's getting the usage. Tesla's not getting the usage. He's got the upside though, but he's not getting the usage. Tank Bigsby has kind of taken over that backup role as the running back. I don't mind Tank Bigsby this week. 2,600. He's cheap for his role, and he saw him get 9 touches just the other day and 104 yards versus the Giants. So we could see Tank Bigsby worked into this game a little bit. Jahan Dotson, like I said, it's very difficult for these guys to come across any targets. You see 11 DraftKings points is his highest week. So I'm not really interested there. Not interested in Calcaterra by any means. And none of these other guys really stand out. I think the cheapest guy that I like is Isaac Tesla. So, all right, let's build this lineup. Make sure to hit that like button. Give me the 70 likes so I can put my favorite picks in the comment section. When we get closer to lock, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 2,200. I'm very close to that. Sign up for an underdog account using the promo code SEEK, and you get $100 on your first $5 bet. They're going to give you $100 in bonus cash. So take advantage of that on your first $5 play, whether it be champions or that's a pick'em style game, or you could do snake draft style games, and we got playoff best ball right around the corner there. So my favorite captain I mentioned is going to be probably Dallas Goedert, but let's give it a captain that we might see popular by the field, and I'm guessing that Smith and Brown are probably going to be popular. Let's go with Smith in the captain. Actually, you know what? I'll take a look real quick and see what the most popular captain will be. Looks like Jalen Hurts. So let's go with Jalen Hurts in the captain. I want to build a chalkier build, see how that flows. Let's put Amon-Ra. People are probably going to think that he's the highest floor. And let's give it Gibbs, and let's give it Devontae Smith. That's going to leave us with 2,300 per guy. If we wanted to go in that direction, we can put in Tesla too. And that's going to leave us with 3,600. We can go with Lions. We can go with Khalif Raymond. We could go with Tank Bigsby. Any one of those guys. Will Shipley. Will Shipley's been kind of relegated behind Tank Bigsby. So not really interested there. If we wanted to maybe take out Gibbs and maybe do a double stack with Hurts, we could put in Brown. And then we got St. Brown. We got Tesla. Let's put in Goddard. No, let's not put in Goddard. We already got a couple guys in there. Let's go with Bates here. And that would give us 2,600 if we wanted to take out Tesla out of that situation. It leaves us with a few options. I don't like that direction as much. Let's take out Brown. Let's put in Goddard. double stack with Brown and Goddard. Let's get Bates out of there. Let's see what kind of let's get Jameson Williams in there, and that leaves us with 2K. So we can get Tesla in there in this build. So this is a kind of I kind of like that build for us. We could swap out Devontae Smith with AJ Brown as well if you wanted to go in that direction. That leaves us with 2,400. We get Dotson in there. Like I said, I'm not touching any of those secondary Eagles guys. But we also got Brock Wright, and we got Tesla. So some good options there. Let's go to the Dallas Goedert build. So, this is the premise that, they take advantage of their matchups, and they're going to lean on Goddard. I know when Sirianni was, more involved in the play calling a couple years ago, they went with what the analytics were telling them that the matchup was, and it was really easy to pick out the Eagles a couple years ago. But it's been a little bit more difficult. But I think the matchup is pointing towards a Goddard week, so I'm going to put Goddard in there. I'm going to get my floor guys in there with Hurts. And I think Gibbs is a better floor guy than St. Brown this week. So I'm going to put Gibbs in there. And I'm going to go with Jameson Williams because he's my, one of my favorite plays on the slate. It leaves me with Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. I'm going to lean Smith here. And that leaves me with 4,600. I could put in like Bates if I wanted to. If I took out Smith and put in Brown, I'd have an option more of Elliott. Not quite enough to get to Montgomery, but I have Elliott as an option, and then I got some other guys. So it kind of goes to show what you can do with Goddard in the captain. And this is like a Philly passing game. They keep it competitive with Gibbs and Williams. So we got a lot of good options if we go this direction. Let's swap these around. Let's put Smith in that captain. You can do the same thing with Brown. Let's get Goddard in there. Leaves us with 32. So we're in that Khalif Raymond, Bigsby, Tesla type of range again. So a lot of good options there. Make sure to hit that like button. Get me to that 70 likes so I can put my favorite plays in the comment section. We haven't been hitting the 100 likes on Sundays. So we haven't been hitting the 70 likes on Sundays either because I put the show out so late. So try to hit that 70 mark so we can get the plays in at least, and make sure to try to get that 100 if you want the write-up. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I need about 9 more to get to that 2,200 mark, and you want to get that access, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, to that secret weapon. And sign up for Underdog. That's $5. You get $100 in bonus cash, not 50 like the graphic on my screen says. So take advantage of that and use the promo code SEEK. And I'll leave the link in the comment section as well. Also, BetMGM. If you want a BetMGM account, Heater 1500 gets you up to $1,500 risk-free first bet. So if you place a bet for $200 and it loses, they'll give you $200 in bonus bets. So take advantage of that as well. And all right, guys, good luck. And I will hopefully see you in the comments.